Hello. Today I want to do a really quick review of the present perfect verb tense. It's probably the most complicated verb tense to learn how to use properly in English. And some of you would have seen this before in your other English courses, but I know that some of you have not really seen it very much, so it's worth the time taking the time to review it. So where's my little button? So to conjugate it, my auxiliary is going to be have or has in the present, and my verb is in the past participle form. So the past participle is that third column of verbs. I have gone to Nicaragua many times. Go is the base form. Went is the simple past because this is an irregular verb, and so gone is that third column of verbs. She has known Mark for 8 months. Again, here's my auxiliary. I use has with the subject she, and my verb is in the past participle form. They haven't spoken in a long time. This is to show you that I can make my auxiliary negative, and then I use the past participle. And if my verb is regular, like it has an ed ending, then it's going to be regular in the past participle as well. And this is just the question structure, so auxiliary, subject, verb. So why do we use it? You could ask if we use the present perfect if you're talking about the past, and indeed, yes, we do. So one of the rules of using the present perfect is that we use it to talk about actions that occurred in the past at an unspecified time. So I haven't talked to him yet. Yet is a key word that tells me that at some time before now, this action actually didn't happen. So it's an unspecified time. She has already eaten. When is already? I don't know. So I need to use the present perfect. If you say she ate at 12:30, then we know it's a specific time, and so I use the simple past. We have never taken a vacation. Never is my key word. It means at no time in the past. So it's an unspecified moment as well. So there are lots of keywords. Some things like already, yet, ever, never, before, recently, lately, something like many times, 7 times, the first time. For example, I hear people say, oh, it's the first time I go, but that's incorrect. You would need to say, it's the first time that I have gone to Montreal this year. Some people say, well, is it the same thing as the present because we call it the present perfect? No, not necessarily, because the second rule, and these two rules are independent of each other, is that we use the present perfect to describe an action that began in the past, but it is still continuing in the present. So it's still continuing now at the time of speaking, but we know that it began in the past, and we often know when the action started, and we use the keywords since and for, and all, but since and for in particular. So I could say, I have played piano for 10 years. It means I began to play 10 years ago, and I still play. It does not mean that I am playing right now. It's just my fact in general. I still play. Or, she has lived in Paris since last October. It means she moved there last October, still lives there now. So when do I use since or for? It's not necessarily the same as in French, so it's worth looking at this. I use since to tell when the action began. So since last Saturday, since November, that's the same as in French. But for tells us the length of time. So when I use for, I'm going to have a number associated with that. For 5 days, for 3 minutes, I've been speaking for 4 minutes and 11 seconds. For 18 months, etc. So it's confusing, these two verb tenses. So let's look at some examples with the simple past. I could say I worked at the bookstore for 2 years. So from 2005 to 2007, the action is clearly stated in the past. We know when it happened and it's finished. But if I say I have worked at the bookstore for 2 years, it means I started working there 2 years ago. So let's say 2018, and I still work there now. He traveled to China last year, specified time in the past. But if I say he has gone to China before, it means at some point before today, I don't know when. Or she led the meeting yesterday, she has never led a meeting. So it means at no point before now. In the simple present, remember we use it to describe facts or habits. So I could say they know each other. He studies chemistry and physics. We don't have a car anymore. So these are all just simple facts. In the present perfect, I would say they have known each other since last July, which means, oops, I'm missing the period there. It means they met in July, and they still are friends. Like I have known you guys, some of you I've known for maybe a couple of years because I was your teacher before, but some of you I met last week. So I've known you since last week. He has studied chemistry for 6 months. So he started studying it 6 months ago, still studies now. And we haven't had a car since the accident. So maybe they had an accident last February and they're still walking everywhere because they do not have a car any longer. There are some typical errors that I often hear. A lot of native English speakers don't use the present perfect properly. So if you watch Netflix, for example, you might hear someone say, I seen her yesterday. That is like a major bobo. Do not say that. You would need to say, I have seen her before. So yesterday, you would need to say, I saw her. And in this case, I mean, this is just wrong in so many ways. I can't even begin to describe how wrong that is. Next, I often hear this, did you eat yet? Grammatically, it's wrong. Technically, it's wrong because with the word yet, we're supposed to use the present perfect. However, I mean, lots of people say this and they say, did you go there yet? Nobody's going to die if you make that grammar mistake. But if you make this one, I might just die. I don't know. Or he already left. I often hear that as well. But technically, it's incorrect because with already, which is some unspecified moment before now, we're supposed to use the present perfect. So can you make those errors? No, please don't. So that's it. Wrapping it up. Stop translating from your native language into English. So I want you to start thinking about time frames in English and applying the rules. We'll do an exercise in class for this. Using the present perfect correctly will make you sound like a more fluent speaker. And so I would like to thank you for listening, and I wish you good luck with the exercise that I'm going to provide for you. And I'm asking you this one final question. Have you learned anything from this presentation? So voila. Thanks, and talk to you later. Ciao.